Pick yours.
Fun to watch.
Minus 15.
Respect all, fear none.
Into the upper deck.
Intensity is not a curfew.
Oh, mercy.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, Orioles pitching continues to impress, but the Orioles offense continues to struggle as the O's drop both ends of a doubleheader to the Miami Marlins. And here we're breaking it down on MASN All Access Extra, and I'm glad to be joined by Hall of Fame pitcher Jim Palmer here because we don't have much to talk about on the offensive end. The pitching, on the other hand, was pretty solid, but it seemed like, Jim, the bats let him down tonight.
Well, they certainly did. Again, they come off a great weekend series against the Rays. I think you look at the playing the Rays. If you look at some of the guys, they weren't probably in as good a shape as they were going to be because of the only the 3-week spring training when you talked about their starting pitching. So you were able to get them out of the game. You get 3 home runs on Friday. You get 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. You pitch really well. You have an off day. I don't know what they drank or ate on Monday, but all of a sudden the offense, coming into the series against the Marlins, and they call them Trace. That's their nickname now because they had 30 players and they're down to 13. So it kind of had a piecemeal bullpen and so forth and whatever. But when you're only hitting 218 going into last night's game with runners in scoring position, and then you stop. I mean, I think they were 2 for 14 in the 3 games. Against Miami. I actually was pretty impressed with Pablo last night. I mean, he threw the ball really well. Today, twilight game, Cobb pitches great, but he gets beat 1-0 on just a fastball out over the plate. Brian Anderson's a pretty good young player for him. It's a home run like DJ LeMahieu did for the Yankees the other day. And all of a sudden, that 1 run beats you. And then in the second game, you go 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position. So you have the opportunities. You just don't take advantage of it. But you do have to be pleased with the way the pitching is. I just think the Marlins, 5-1, leading the National League East in winning percentage. They don't have as many wins as the Braves, who actually lost today. But this is a team that's rebuilding very much like the Orioles, and I think they've kind of shocked the Orioles winning the first 3 games.
Absolutely. It feels like the same story as the Orioles surprising some teams through the first week of the season, and now the Marlins are experiencing that, a team that has gone through a big roster upheaval over the past week as they have tried to deal with the outbreak amongst their team, but yet they are shutting down the Orioles' bats. And you mentioned some of the fact that the Orioles, no matter what, it doesn't matter what they were doing. In the first game, they face a solid starter. The second game is more of a bullpen game, but they just could not get the bats going. Is there anything in particular you noticed with the Orioles offense that led to their offensive drought? They went scoreless for 21 straight innings before finally scoring a run at the very end of that second game of the doubleheader.
Yeah, in the 6th inning on a bad hop, ball that hit off the third baseman's glove and then off the yard gloves in the left field. So I think if you looked at Wojo's last start against the Yankees, he gave up 3 home runs all on fastballs. But when he got his breaking ball over, he was very effective. Tonight, he had the 1 bad inning, the first inning. And then again, he better command with his fastball, better command with his breaking balls. But that's what I saw from if you looked at Miami's ball club. I mean, Josh A. Smith, who threw about 91, he starts the game, and as you mentioned, it's a bullpen game. And then they bring in Sterling Sharp, who threw about 91. Then you bring in the tall, lanky lefty Brian Moran. Then Justin Schaefer came in. He actually threw the ball pretty well, but he got a little blister on his finger from throwing that overhand curveball. But he got a couple of strikeouts on it. But nobody was overpowering. And if you want to kind of compare those to the bullpen that Tampa Bay, the Orioles saw, it looked like the Orioles doing a pretty good job of hitting the fastball, but the guys that don't throw quite as hard, or even Hernandez, who started the first game in the twilight against Alex Cobb today, his best pitch, 91, 92 with the fastball, but he had a very good slider, a little bit of a cutter, and it gave the Orioles problems.
And they have one more tomorrow against the Marlins to close out this series at home. Is there anything you think that could turn this offense around? Of course, it'll be a 9-inning game as opposed to 2 7-inning games today. Maybe that might have contributed to their offensive struggles. What do you think could turn them around in the final game of this series against Miami?
Well, I think you'd like to have balance. I mean, let's be honest. Your best offensive player from 2019 was Trey Mancini. He's not going to play this year. I mean, hit 35 home runs, drove in over 90 runs. I mean, it's not like other guys can't play. It was good to see Chris Davis at least be able to come back and get in the lineup, because at the end of the day, Chris is going to have to establish whether he can play or not. I mean, it's just as simple as that. And the only way you can do that, he had a cold, so he missed some games. Then he had a knee problem. So he got to play in the first game. He got to play last night. But, you got to get DJ Stewart going. Again, everybody, Ben McDonald and Scott Garceau were talking the fact that you do have the looming presence of the MVP in the International League, Ryan Mountcastle. Eventually he's going to get a chance to come up here to the big leagues. So, it'd be nice to have a little bit of a left-handed at bat. Hunter Alberto, he wears out lefties. He's got to prove. I mean, he hit about 240 something against right-handers. All this, when you're getting 3-4 hits, Iglesias, is he the guy you really want to hit third in an American League lineup trying to compete with the Yankees? So he's certainly coming off his best year ever. When he's healthy, he still has a little bit of a quad problem. He'll be in the lineup playing shortstop. But right now they're playing a little bit short. When they get their guys back, or they get one or two guys hot, all of a sudden, but we all know if you don't hit home runs, you better drive in runs with runners in scoring position. And that, the runner in scoring position number last year was 263 for the American League. I think the pitchers, even though we have a lot of injuries, are a little bit ahead of the hitters, because coming into today's games, it was only 248 and the Orioles were 218. And that number 2 for 14 dropped dramatically. So again, they just need to get some clutch hits, or do what it's real easy to do at Camden Yards when you're on your game. Hit some long fly balls, or even hit some fly balls that got out of the ballpark.
Definitely. We saw it over the weekend, and they could certainly use it again in the final game of this series against the Marlins. O's Extra coming your way, of course, on MASN at 7. First pitch coming just after 7:30. Jim Palmer, Hall of Famer, joining us here on MASN All Access Extra. Jim, love to have you on.
Well, thank you. Great being with you. It would have been nice to be under a little bit better circumstances.
Absolutely. Hopefully next time we can get a win.